Here.
Mary Kay Jacobson,
Here.
Greg Jones,
Here.
Bruce Horn,
Here.
Scott Hartman.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, there are 7 board members present, therefore there is a quorum.
Okay. I'm going to do something that I swore I would never do, but I'm going to do it anyway. And that is, there's been some postings on social media that, at least anyway, I think are important that you get some facts on. And I'm not going to go through all of this because we could be here a long time, and those of you that went to the question and answer sessions, you heard most of this addressed. But there's a couple things that I do think are important for you to know. If you take a look at our CNRs, and whether you like them or not, these are ones that have been agreed to by the community club at the time of the declarant, and even judges have weighed in on these from time to make sure that they were appropriate. As a matter of fact, I read one attorney letter over the weekend, and another attorney was asking this attorney, well, gee, you know, we've been through all this. Does this mean the club is going to have to go back to the court every time that they want to change or an amendment to the CNRs? And the other attorney, rightfully, and thank goodness it said no, if that were the case, there would be no need to have a board of directors, a general manager, a staff, because the courts would be running Fairfield Glade. And that also, by the way, was signed off by that judge. So I'm going to take you through a couple of the things that I think are most grievous in my mind in terms of misinterpretations. And the first one is, who and what is the declarant? And I'm reading straight out of the CNR, so there's no misinterpretation of what's being said.
And do you want to identify exactly
No, I
that
am.
section?
I will.
Okay.
Okay, we're in Article 1, Section 13. The declarant shall mean Fairfield Communities, Inc., or its successor, and the successor is Tennessee Land Holdings, which is Tom, or a sign of interest who comes to stand in the same relation to the properties as Fairfield Communities, Inc., and is so designated in writing by declarant. At any time, there shall only be no more than one declarant. So you may not like that. People may not like that. But the fact is, we have in our definition that there can only be one declarant. Not multiple ones, not people that want to be declarants, but only one. Then I'm going to take you over to the exact area that we're having an amendment on, and that is Article 6, Section 3. This is one of the ones that are being amended. Now, I'm not going to read the amendment because it's got nothing to do with what I'm going to be talking about here. But in here, it says, the declarant, the one declarant, shall also be the sole judge as to the extent the roads and streets within Exhibit A, which is a listing of all of our lots by block, properties, will be improved. In the event the declarant shall decide it's not economically feasible to extend improved roads or streets to a particular area within the Exhibit A properties, it shall not be obligated to do so. So what this tells you is the declarant has the right to decide when roads and where roads will be built. That's not given to a lot of other people, and there's good reasons for that. These covenants and restrictions have served us pretty well for about 25, 27 years now. And to think that we can ignore them is a fool's folly. The sad part about this, and I'm not going to get personal here because that's not what this is about, the individual who was making this video attended Q&A sessions where this was brought out because that individual brought them out and was told in no uncertain terms that there's only one declarant. Now, if you want to modify that, there are sections in here, and one that we just cleaned up about 2 years ago, of how a member can bring forward a change to the CNRs. And what that person was told that day is that's what you want to do, then follow that process. Now, this is getting pretty serious. And I'm going to even go off script a little bit more on this. The charge that the board is trying to hide something, that we're not being transparent on this issue, or that we're, in some cases, almost outright lying to you, is a false charge. We have had how many? I think 13 or 14 Q&A sessions, each lasting an hour and a half at least. I don't even know the count of emails that I've responded to, but it's been a lot more than probably 100. And those were individual responses. And we've been open and we've talked about this issue in these meetings for the last at least month, and we'll talk about it again today, and we'll talk about it again probably in June. So everyone's had their chance to ask their questions. In the exception of maybe one or two questions where we did not know the answer, and that was the answer, we do not know. Every question that I'm aware of in the Q&A sessions has been answered. There is not one person that I know of that knowingly walked out that door and said, I didn't get my questions answered. As a matter of fact, in many of them, what I told them was, the only bad question is the one you walk out the door with and you don't ask. Now, did everyone agree with the answers? I suppose not, because there were different people that had different options and that type of thing. But the fact is, and I will say this from my heart, and I think I can speak for the board here on this one, since the almost 5 years that I've been on the board, I can honestly tell you there has not been one discussion or vote taken by this board that didn't look out at the best interests of Fairfield Glade. That is our charge. There's not a person sitting around here, well, we got one declarant representative, but she's overvoted by 6 others, but there's not one person sitting around here that's going to make money off of whatever is done here. There's not a person sitting around here that runs a business that's associated with this. There is not a person sitting around here that stands to gain anything by what we've put out as an amendment, other than what we believe collectively as a board is the best thing for Fairfield Glade. That's why we put the amendment forward. And we've had some pretty heated sometimes, but certainly long discussions with, and I've had it with several of you sitting in this room, about why this is important. And it is. But to take things out of context, to not listen to what the questions and the answers were, to ignore the CNRs and the rules that we have to live by, is not a good thing for anyone. Now, I do read the social media. You'll never see me, unless I accidentally hit my thumb to the wrong place, ever respond to anything. And then you'll get a blank response. You'll just see my name. But the stuff that's going around there is very dangerous, because people are making decisions on the future of Fairfield Glade without the right information. And it's got to stop. So those of you that are watching on TV, people sitting in this room, if you guys got questions, there's going to be a time for member comments. That's why I wanted to get this out at the beginning, because if you do have comments or questions, we want to answer them. That's what we're here for. So I wanted to get this out, but this has got to stop. This is really getting way past the point of just good form. And I'm not saying anything about the person that wrote it, because I think that, in their mind, they think that they're correct in what they're thinking. But you better have the rules and the declarations and the covenants to back up your statements. Otherwise, we're not going to listen to them. So that's my piece for the morning. So with that, now we'll go to a happier deal. Jason, you want to go with the finance report?
Sure. So this is a summary of the financials for POA, amenities, and wastewater through April 30th, 2025. For POA and amenities, revenue through April 30th was slightly behind schedule by approximately $160,000. Assessment revenue was higher, and other revenue exceeded the budget by approximately $30,000, and that's within the admin department. Food and beverage was slightly off in snack bars by approximately 7%, with Stonehenge exceeding the expectations year-to-date through April 30th. Golf revenue was slightly off by approximately 5%, but more than made up that shortfall in net income. For our cost of goods sold, were slightly better than budget, with a variance of $40,000. It was anticipated that the COGS would be approximately $598,000 for the year-to-date, and actual COGS were $558,000, respectively. Golf COGS are below expectations at 23% savings, and food is in line with budget through April 30th, 2025. Operating expenses, including payroll, we are still trending positively in POA for overall expenses. Expenses year-to-date were $6.9 million against the estimate of $7.2 million through April 30th. Materials and supplies, as well as payroll, were better than expected, with combined savings of 40%. Overall, we are ahead of budget by $281,000. For net income for POA and amenities, we're ahead of schedule by $161,000. We gave a little ground back after March due to the timing of invoices and less than expected amenity revenue. For wastewater treatment sewer, overall revenue, top line for sewer is exactly in line with estimates at $1.07 million. Operating expenses, including payroll, similar to March, large variances were experienced positively for payroll. Materials and repairs, again in March. Total in this area of general expenses was a positive $146,000 through April. Net income for sewer was better than budgeted expectations. For 2025, actual sewer reported $280,000 against a budget of $136,000, with a positive variance of $145,000. Thank you, Greg.
Okay. Question?
Nico Sergio, is this on? Nico Sergio, community club member since April of 2005. Jason, could you look at page 11 of your financial reports? Under the heading property type, there is no listing for the timeshare properties. Could you give me a count of the timeshare units?
It's under Wyndham Resort, 1251 on the far left-hand side, under member type.
There's close to 500 timeshare units. And
49.
over here you have 1,251 Wyndham lots. So that doesn't, it doesn't make sense to me. Could you explain it?
Yeah, I think, Nico, I can explain that. There's two things. There's 489 units for timeshares. The lots are owned by Wyndham as property. Those are the ones that they vote as Wyndham. The other timeshares are voted as timeshares. So there are two different groups of entities, if you will. The timeshares have people living in them. The lots, by and large, do not. Most of those are C lots.
Next question is, under billable properties, if you take the 489 times the $81 and they pay double assessments, I calculated up that that's like $950,000. And under the Wyndham Resorts, if that's where that figure is, 892, we're missing some money, several $100,000.
I'm trying to get to the spreadsheet now. So your question is, could you restate your question again?
Okay, if there's 489 units times 2, since they pay double, times $81, that's like $950,000. And under Wyndham, you have $892,000 as income. It should be like double that.
So this is not reflective of the timeshare interval. This sheet that you're referencing, page 11?
Yes.
This is not representative of the timeshare. What you're asking about is the interval income that we receive,
Yes.
double assessments,
Mhm.
and that is based on the count that you just said. We charge, according to CNRs, up to 2 times our assessments, which we do.
But we're still missing some money.
The 892 are the lots. That's not the intervals.
Okay.
So the intervals are separate. They're not on here. They're not lots. This is a lot report. So the 489 are all separate. You don't see that on here anywhere.
Well, if it's income, why?
But no,
isn't
because
it in
these are,
here?
this is a lot report. Look at the top of it.
Yes, I
Lot
see that.
ownership, breakdown. Intervals are not lots.
So why can't we get, can we get a separate report on the timeshares? Of how many there are and how much they're paying? And where would that show up?
So the income, it rolls to admin division, but individual report, we don't have to provide an individual report in reference to the assessments for the intervals. That's not provided in this package.
Okay.
The whole purpose of this report, when it was originally put together, because we had a lot of questions about how much income are we losing because we have lots that are not generating income, okay? And that's the right-hand side. That's the Cumberland County and the FGCC lots. But what we wanted to do is make sure that we showed a complete picture of lots, not timeshares, that showed what was owned, what we're billing, and what we're still not getting in terms of billable units. Okay? So this has nothing to do with the timeshares at all.
So if we go back to page 1, under administration, you're saying that the timeshare money is included in that figure, the $3,299,000. Is that what you're saying?
So the interval
Interval
timeshare
owners.
rolls into the admin department. It rolls through the revenue of the admin department or division.
Okay. Could you give me some clarification in the future that how much money we're collecting from the timeshares on a monthly basis or monthly and yearly basis?
Well, we can do that, Nico, but what I would suggest is you put in a document request for that, because we're not going to overhaul all the financial reporting for one question. The financial reporting that Jason has put together and Bruce has put together are the official reports for the membership. If you would like some additional information, just fill out a document request and we'll get it to you.
Okay.
Okay?
That's fine. As long as I'm up here, I might as well bring up another question. Did the board implement a segregation policy?
What?
A segregation policy?
What do you mean?
All the women are on this
Oh.
side, all the men are
No,
over here.
it's taking me back to my Catholic school days where we separated everybody, so.
That side was missing a chair where I always
Monica's
sit,
fault.
so I came
I
over
just wanna
here.
make that clear. It's Monica's fault.
Yeah, it is. I am the one.
So you didn't want to be the next to any of the guys here. I can understand that. Thank you.
No.
The results of freedom of choice are interesting,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Go on, Tom.
Tom Ratcliffe. Jason, can you, so I can be aligned on your comments, you said food was in, for food and beverage, you said food was in line with budget, and I'm showing it's $100,000 behind?
So what I mean.
I'm trying to,
So Stonehenge is the, when I am saying food is in line with the budget, I'm referencing Stonehenge. Snack bar is behind, which I reference, and then our payroll allocation is slightly out through April 30th, and that's the reason why we have a $100,000 loss in that division.
because it's concerning when you look at it, because it's 34% of revenue, basically, in that loss. So I'm trying to get ahead of the game so that, quite honestly, as we talk about it throughout the year, we don't start talking about things like it's going to be this and it's going to improve, and then all of a sudden we change it to we had bad budget, okay? So supposedly now we have a good budget, but we're behind.
Well, we've addressed, we being Bill and I have had several meetings where we've isolated and addressed what we feel is the issue of why it's behind budget for year to date. And we think that going forward, some of these.
Yeah, I mean, the payroll is what it is relative to budget. What is happening is there are salaried employees that are the leadership of food and beverage that are, Bobby Jones Links is reflecting their their pay through snack bar payroll, which to me is, it needs to be it needs to be in a salary line. That's the way I've always, and I've spoken with Bobby Jones Links about correcting that, or at least internally we correct it on our reporting because it just shows a more accurate picture, because when you do have questions or issues and you need to make corrective actions, you can zero in better as to where the problem is. When you see, it's like you look at these numbers and you think, why are we staffing so heavy in snack bars and it's February or March and we're over? And I understand, I hear, that you have to hire people in anticipation of the season, but that number is always going to be off relative to what it should be, in my view, as to what it's intended for if you've got salary payroll in there. So moving it to the right place gives a better historical record and a better analysis of what's actually happening. It's not going to change the number, but at least it's going to put it into what I think are the proper boxes. But snack bar sales are down, yes, as in relative to rounds, they are down. So, improving snack bar sales going forward has to be something to focus on, and I think some of it may be the impact, I can't say for certain, of the loss of the full snack bar activity at Druid due to construction.
I appreciate the explanation, and that's helpful. It's moving forward, and I think you're trying to address it moving forward.
Yeah,
Because
I mean, we're hoping
bad budget, I'm not buying it. Bad numbers and so forth.
When you say bad budget, what do you mean?
That was the board's response, and if you want me to go back to
Right.
the videos,
No,
I will.
and I'm just saying, the budget is based on what was achieved in 2023. And I just say a budget is a budget. I mean, it's not a crystal ball. I think we can all agree to that. So we have to look at what are the forces if it's not meeting those numbers. What has happened? Are obvious questions? Are rounds off? Is there not a product that people are wanting to purchase? Is it service? All those things are natural questions you're going to look at. But you can't make it happen just because you have a budget. Yes, steps can be taken to change. It's premature at this point to change your service, and that's a decision that the board would have to make because of our contractual relationship, number one, with Bobby Jones Links and what is allowed through that relationship as far as adjustments and the impact of those adjustments to service to the membership as well as our guests overall. So, those are to be determined. Stay tuned for future updates because we're just now rolling into, we've had May has not been a great month weather-wise. I hate to say that, but it's the reality we're dealing with. So we're hoping to really have a great June. But I know Jeff has been concerned with the play in May, and marinas are way down, and it's we're just not seeing the activity that we had hoped to see in May due to the weather.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My next question is can you give me an idea, and either Jason or Bill, so how many police officers do we have?
Ooh, 17? Yeah, 17.
17. And 5 are on light duty, according to the report, so it leaves us 12. So are we at some kind of capacity? I'm not expecting an answer, but maybe you can get one. Are we at some kind of capacity issue with the police department? In terms of, we got for 2023 that they responded to 31,000 incidents. For some reason, Kate wasn't giving us 2024. We didn't get those numbers, but I would imagine they're somewhat the same. And you start extrapolating, and you got to wonder, are they being stretched? And then you get into the overtime, and we've talked about the board has mentioned the overtime before that, We needed to add police officers in the past and so forth because of overtime and morale and so forth. Well, it seems to me that we're going down that path again.
Well, that is always a part of we are in the budget process now for 2026, and that is always part of our evaluation. And we certainly will be working closely with Chief Kate on her needs and what that impact of that is financially, or regardless, what does she need? I will say the incidents as far as this year, I believe she was indicating that traffic violations are double. So, you know, I think she's mentioned it before at some community gatherings and whatnot, to everybody be mindful of your driving, because we have had a tremendous uptick in speeding in the past year.
Well, and that's kind of why the question as far as capacity, and I'll tell it just to
The
put it-
bulk of the others are domestic issues.
Okay, and I just put it out there because I understand that she's also in charge of or tasked with looking at a potential EMT program. And I got to
EMR.
tell you, these numbers, if it's going to come down to the police department taking that on and wanting more people, that's something I will not support. And I don't know if the membership will at all at the same time.
Well, that's a whole nother
It is
issue,
another issue.
and
but
there's a
that's-
lot involved in it.
But it ties to the numbers,
Mhm.
and that's the point. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on the financials? Bill, Druid Hills.
Yes, thank you. So Druid Hills, first of all, want to encourage everyone, go on the website. We have drone updates that we are now posting on the website that you can see from good aerial views of the job site. I'm also will be talking with the board about time-lapse photography, potentially as a historical record, and also to have on there. But regardless, the project is now in the site preparation phase. Billy Hopper's company is out working very much on the site prep as we speak. We are under review by the state fire marshal as part of the permitting process. We will not be permitted to put any foundations in until we receive that permit from the state fire marshal. However, the county building department has indicated that if we do get to that point, which we doubt, but if we are ready to put foundations in and have not heard back from Nashville, they can give us some temporary leeway in that area to not hold up or delay construction. But for right now, site prep is going on and will be happening for another couple of weeks. But what I do want to bring to everyone's attention is there is some blasting that will need to occur in some areas relative to the site preparation. That has been surveyed by the appropriate officials to make sure, where and when and what's going on. We will, as far as the approval, there are caps that are put in, as I understand, with the blasting that will minimize the noise. But there will be some noise, and it will be very brief. We will give you a community-wide communication when it is imminent. I have directed this morning our project management team that we need 48 hours advance notice of when the blasting is going to take place. So we'll send out a 2-day notice, and then we'll send out a 24-hour update letting you know the times and when it'll happen. And it's very controlled, it's very safe, and it's time save. It's cost savings. It is much less expensive to get rid of this rock that's in this site area through blasting than through drilling and removal that way, a more manual approach. So it's a limited area that it needs to where there's just solid rock, and will benefit from this blasting. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. The fire and EMS station is, speaking of site prep, is well underway with the preparation of the site there. We have contracted with a construction firm Stubbs Construction, they're a local firm here in Crossville. They are actually the ones that have been doing the renovation work on the county courthouse. You may have noticed or seen their signs there, but they we're contracted for pre-construction services only at a fee of $1. And once they're, as part of their pre-construction, they are currently out. They have about 60% completed drawings, which is sufficient. It's an industry standard of final drawings from the architect. They'll have about 80% of the final drawings. If they don't have them already, they should have them shortly. And they will be meeting with us in mid-June to present their final cost estimates. And we will review those with the steering committee and the project management team as well as our architects and general contractor, to review the cost estimates. Just so you know, the general contractor, as when he presents his cost estimate, he also has to share at least 3 subs for each division: electrical, plumbing, all the major divisions, HVC, et cetera. And there has to be at least 3 bids on each of those and how he got to his number. And that is all revealed. So it's a very open process, and he's working in concert with us as sort of a member of the team. It's not an adversarial relationship with the general contractor. They're incented to bring in the best number possible. And, which I don't foresee, but if for some reason we are uncomfortable with this presentation, we have 2 courses with, we can say we prefer this sub here, or you use this sub and the like to have input on our team. And, or we could also say, thank you very much, we're going to start the process over. And we're out $1 and we can start again if we so desire. I don't foresee that happening, but that's just to give everyone reassurance that but at that point, we will lock in, hopefully, to an agreement and move forward on construction. We anticipate starting full steam with construction in early August. Okay? Question?
Come on up.
Did I miss it, or is it not part of the process that we haven't even seen plans as members of what the actual, what this is going to look like? And how is it, an explanation, how is it going to be set up? How is it going to be set up for the future? Those type of things, or? is
My
that
understanding
just-
that the floor plan and site elevations are on the website. If they're not, I will correct that of what we currently have.
They're also posted over at Druid Hills Pro Shop right now, too.
I guess as a member, it would have been helpful, if we've already done that, to have, Bill, your group, I don't know who it would be, if it would be the fire department to come in, talk us through it, what the plans look like, what they're anticipating, how it's built to anticipate the future, if anything, how it's going to be set up for the ambulance service, all of those things. It seems like it's missing. Changes that were made either by us
It's
or.
my recollection, and I'm sorry, but Ken Fleural did do that about a year ago.
I'm not sure. I think, Tom, we'll take that as.
But yeah, but we can,
Yeah,
we will certainly do it again. I'm
Yeah,
not trying,
I get your point.
and
And
I will assure you.
apologize, my comment was about Druid Hills, not
Yes,
the.
Tom, this is the thing that's out there. It's
Okay.
pretty specific. It was at one of the Druid presentations.
Okay.
No, he's talking about the fire station.
No, but when he said he hasn't seen the drawings of what it's going to look like. This is
No,
out
no,
there.
He's talking about the
Just
fire
the fire
station.
station. Okay.
Fire station.
We'll set
Yeah,
something up.
Yeah,
yeah, good point.
and we've been, and of course, the fire department has been intimately involved in this whole process, so.
And that would be an ask if you, when you set that up, could you have the fire department head of their board come in and talk about it too? I mean, we're doing it, but that's for
Probably more
them.
appropriate that Chief Kirk talk about it. He's more intimate with the details.
Okay, and that's fine, but somebody that's been involved that can answer, are you guys comfortable with this being set up for the future? That's a big thing for me, because if we're not setting it up for the future, then 2 years from now, we're gonna be talking about what we've done on other things, which is, we gotta do this, we gotta add to this, you know? And especially, and it ties back to my point earlier, EMT. Thank you.
Good. Any other questions? Okay. Member comments?
My name is Ellie Kellerman. I've been here since 2000 Okay. Ellie Kellerman, been here since 2008, homeowner. My question concerns numbers. I'm going to start with Barb. I liked your report you used to give out every meeting, monthly, about what's going on in the timeshares. I miss it. Could it be reinitiated, or do you know?
Those are given at the board meeting.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen them last time.
Yeah, as a matter
Okay.
of fact, that's where they are given. We don't do that here in the workshop.
Barb was asked.
Oh, is that why we didn't get
Yeah.
them? Okay. Okay, then this, I guess, will go to Bill, because there's several areas I want to touch on. We used to get new homes every month, same period last time. I think Sam gave that. I'd like to see that keep going. I want to know how homes are affected. Another area that we used to get answers on was the golf rounds. The number for the month, the number for the year, same period last year, monthly, number for the year. We hadn't had a report of the amenity transfer fees.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
the
Going to
rounds
fa-
are in the financial report.
The numbers? What
No.
page?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry?
We used to do that,
Okay.
okay? But there
Oh,
were
okay.
differences
Okay.
in what was being reported financially, because they looked at rounds from what you paid for, and Jeff looked at rounds that you played. So they were slightly off, and the timing was different about when those reports came out. So the membership started yapping a lot about, well, we reconcile these reports, and it's almost an impossible situation to do because of the timing and what we're reporting on, because the financial reports cut off at the end of the month. The operational reports don't necessarily do that. So what we decided to do is focus on the money and where we were, because ultimately that's what you're really asking about. Are we meeting budget, are we exceeding budget, or are we less than budget?
Well, I'm
So that's
talking-
why we're there.
I'm talking head count. That's what on the number of rounds the golf played. I'm not interested in finance, the number of rounds. We used to get that.
Okay.
Like in
Okay.
2024, we had 150,504. So I'm looking at numbers. Okay, the amenity transfer fee. We got a few months ago where that is, and we need that broken down by A, B, and C lots, how that's going. We can get that.
Yep.
And this is just a side issue, food and beverage. I'm wondering about these Mother's Day. How many people attended that? Do we have any information how they're functioning?
It was mid-80s,
Mid-80s?
same as last year.
Okay,
It's, where it'll be considered going forward if that can be accommodated at Stonehenge rather than doing it here in the future, because it's just, the last several years, it's not a big event. But Easter was good, and was worthy of having in this facility versus, accommodating at Stonehenge if possible.
okay. And also these wine dinners, are they being participated in a lot? There's one tonight, I think.
Those are, again, the numbers are modest,
Okay,
I'd say, yes.
okay. I'm just looking at numbers.
Mhm.
Okay?
That's it.
Any other member comments?
I'm Patty Vilhauer. I've been a homeowner since 2017. I've noticed in the past month or two, there's quite a bit of activity on the there's quite a bit of activity on the stable property. I was wondering if you could tell me what's going on there?
The activity is a maintenance, a combination of maintenance as far as the pastures and so forth, as with seeding and the like, but then also what was done in the past as well as a permit has been given to, as part of the maintenance agreement, in exchange for maintaining the pasture areas, they're allowed to grow corn and hay.
Okay, who's they?
It's a general family, a local family.
That are leasing the property?
They are, it's a lease, yes, a lease
Okay.
agreement, but
Okay.
it's really an exchange in kind for, at a minimal fee. They've been involved before at an area with wastewater management, some property that we have in wastewater management doing similar work, and they came forward to do the same work, just to keep the area up, allowing them to have a reason to provide us with the services on the pastures. So it's an
Okay.
exchange.
Yeah,
So they're
what it's
paying a-
not, is it's not to do anything with the operations of the stables.
Okay, I was going to ask about the barn and that. Are they doing anything with the other side of the property? Because, I did
No,
see
that's
them.
what I refer to pastures. That's the area I'm talking. They are bush hogging and, maintaining those pastures, and they're in exchange allowed to get hay from that eventually as well.
So they're not leasing it?
No,
Okay.
no, they're just providing maintenance so that we don't have to have, we would have hired a firm anyway to have
Right.
to bush hog and do the things that need to be done. They're simply doing that in exchange for also on the back area, which has always been the arrangement, to grow
Somebody else
corn,
has
grow corn
always
and so forth.
planted
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and taken that.
right.
So-
They've actually gone in and have improved it tremendously from where it was before, that lower area. Cleared, done a lot of cutting of limbs and fixing of some areas. We do have some fence repair work that needs to be done, and we're responsible for that. But, yeah, there's no formal operations going on there. The barn is what it is. We're monitoring it, but we're not doing anything to it as far as for future operations.
They've been tearing lots of fences down, and I'll bet those fences weren't so great. I mean, you can drive by here and see what kind of condition. Are they going to be doing any improvements at all to the property?
Yes, we do
other
need to do
than-
some fence, we do need to do some fence repair. That's what I mentioned earlier. Because
Okay.
and some of that has just been from the storms. I mean, they were in such poor shape. The winds, high winds have just blown some of it over. But we will be repairing that.
Okay. Will you let people know that's going on? Because there are people interested in the property, and obviously the rumor mill starts up again. And,
Yeah, it is strictly maintenance and
maintenance work.
preservation, I would say, of the existing land.
Okay.
But no
Has any-
improvements or anything are being done to
Okay.
the barn or any of the like.
Okay, are there any plans, anything been talked about of what to do with the property in the next year or two?
I think those will come up as we get into the budget section for this year.
Okay,
Yeah, and there is part of the land use study. It's,
Yeah,
part of
it'll be part, yeah. of
The
land use
strategic
study.
plan has called as one of our, which we shared in our strategic plan presentation last month. One of the top action items from the strategic plan is to do a land use study, and we are putting together an RFP currently, and to reach out to firms of the entire property, of which would also include the stables property, for future, what is the best interest of all the available existing facilities, existing land, and that would be part of our growth.
would one of those options be, instead of growth and building houses, to keep it
No, I'm
as
referring growth as
natural?
far as amenities. I wasn't talking about, I'm strictly referring to existing amenities, their condition, the land that we do own that is currently, like, right next door here, for instance, this area between us and the mall, what are the best, the existing buildings that are in poor condition, the admin building and others, and what is the best way and path forward. That's just part of our strategic plan and land use study, and bringing in some professionals to assist with that.
Let me also be clear, because this came up in these question and answer sessions. The stables area, that land is not included in anything to do with this amendment. Okay? That
Yeah,
is,
I
that has
never
been
thought it was.
specifically talked about as separate because the board hasn't decided what to do with the land. So, and unlike the land that we're talking about with the amendment, all those areas are plotted into lots. The stables area is just land, okay? So let's be real clear about that.
Okay.
All right?
But it is part, as you've already said, it is part of the strategic plan, and it is
Yeah.
part of the comprehensive land
Right.
use plan that we're putting out RFP for.
My only comment is sometimes when you bring consultants in, they're looking at one thing and they're not getting down to the nitty gritty and looking at the history. I've just dealt with consultants in the past that just, they've got their opinion and they kind of, a lot of times know
Well,
what.
the land use study or master plan, whatever you want to call it, the community and the board and management are going to be involved in that.
Okay,
Because it's not just handing over and saying, go do whatever you want. We have some ideas about things that we've already planned. We have a strategic plan that's laid out some things. We have a tactical plan that the SMT's worked on a lot that lay out some things. So all that stuff
Okay.
is going to be gone through, and they're even in the RFP, which we're still drafting, so that's why no one's seen it yet, is places in there for member interaction, okay?
that was going to be my next question. Thank
So
you.
all that's in the RFP,
Okay,
okay?
that's what I wanted to know. Thank you very much.
All right.
I'm Holly Vilhauer. I live at 106 Flossmoor Circle. So my questions were geared one way, but I'm going to switch gears. So you're not taking in any money by a lease agreement of any sort. So you have no revenue really
For
coming
the former
from
stables project.
Yeah.
the
No.
stables.
We are not.
Okay.
Greg, I mean, Bill, it's a trade. We're allowing them.
Yeah, I mean,
versus
it's like,
their maintenance.
it's
I understand.
$10 for the agreement. And
Okay.
they basically provide these services.
Okay, so as a member and also as an equestrian person, I feel that it's really important to upkeep the barn. It would, I don't know what the cost would be to just repair, patch some holes in the roof so that the structure of the barn is not jeopardized, because down the road, if a decision to keep the barn is made, it's a valuable building, and it's also a costly building. I would hate to see it deteriorate, and then that be, the falling down and knocking down of it be the end of even a possible bringing back of the stables. There are many people that still hope that the stables will someday return. And I also, I don't know if you poll the membership again about the stables before making a decision to keep or not keep the stables down the road. I understand it's not in the budget now, but also to look at business plan and a good budget, and see that the stables could be a money-making amenity. Also, I am wondering if marketing, both the Wyndham Resort and the real estate, have crossed the equestrian poll from their marketing, because that has drawn many people here, and it's no longer available. So in all fairness to people that come to visit or come to move here, know that there's no equestrian availability at this point. I think that's all I have.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other member comments?
Small Points Department, every month they talk about the calendar.
Yes, please talk into the.
Sorry. Points Department, every month they talk about the calendar. I'd like to give you this one. For May, we have the board workshop meeting and the board meeting. That's it on the calendar. At least tell me, Mr. Ratcliffe, you're full of it, you're never going to see it. And I won't ask every month.
What is
Okay.
it you want to see?
I
The
wanna
committee
see-
meetings and that type of thing.
I've-
They should be published.
Okay.
They're on the website, under the committees.
I understand, but we got two documents here. One's a calendar that people can look at and supposed to be able to see everything going on for the month. And yes, on the committees, they're, in their charters and that, they do announce when the meetings are going to be.
I mean, their schedules are, under the, Tom, under the committee headings, aren't they? They used to be.
So, Mr. Horn, that means that I go through every committee on the website to
Okay.
try to find out when their meeting is. Okay?
Okay.
It's what, 20, 25 different ones? If they're even posted. Let me tell you that, if they're even posted, because not all of them are, and I've gone through them. So this is one place.
Well, and plus there are other activities that we should be putting on the calendar as well. So we'll take that.
Okay.
We'll run with it.
Thank
Okay?
you.
Good point.
Any other comments from the board? Or for the members, I should say. I'm going to clear up one other item I should have cleared up in my comments earlier. There's some statements made in the video about liens, titles, and all that kind of stuff. And I want to be real clear about that. In our CNRs in Section 8, or I'm sorry, Article 8, Section 5, the board is given the right to put liens and foreclose on properties and that type of thing. We can put liens on homes without going to the courts. That's something that's reserved for the board. Those rights were not given to the declarant in this amendment specifically. That's why you don't see this section talked about in there. What the declarant has is the same rights that anybody providing services out here. If they don't get paid, they can take you to court. They can try to put in a lien on your house. Eventually, they could try to foreclose on you if you do not pay. The rights the declarant has is the same as anybody else, including builders, if you don't pay them. So this idea of that is getting into liens and problems, it's the same process that everybody else goes through. And I want to be clear about that. Okay? Anything else? If not,
Board member items,
pardon me?
lot committee.
Oh, lot committee. Go on.
Through April, there were 8 voluntary lot transfers. Those were all C lots. And the lot sales was 1 B lot sold. And as to homes under construction, this last month, April, there were 13 homes under construction as compared to 8 at last April of '24.
Okay? Anything else? I'm looking for a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.